Well, what is up, my fellow heathens, and welcome back to another fantastic episode of the Southern Heathen Podcast. I am Tierson, and joining me, as always, WoodovWyrd. How are you, man?
Honestly, I'm pretty tired, and I'm kind of buzzed right now.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie.
I'm working on it.
As you know, being your roommate and everything.
Right.
It's a Sunday, and I don't have to work till 2 tomorrow, so we're good.
Yeah. Well, I'm off tomorrow, so I'm gonna have
a lucky bastard.
I am a lucky bastard. Oh man, I've had quite a time lately, and
yeah, that's understandable, man. That's understandable. You deserve that.
I got out today and let out some steam, got some exercise.
That's true. No, that's good though. That's good. Everyone needs that.
Yeah. So we've got a pretty great episode lined up for the listeners today.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think most of you listeners will be intrigued. And before we go anywhere else with this, we're just going to say, politically, this is not a political podcast, guys. We do not give a flying fuck about politics when it comes to heathenry and polytheism. We just don't. Simply because that's not what we're about. So, as always, here you go. Tierson.
All right, so recently in the news, Representative, I'm just going to say AOC because I always tongue-tie her name, Representative AOC brought some of our culture into mainstream media, talking specifically about the Valknut, espousing it as a white supremacist symbol. We have a clip from her interview with the Daniel Defense CEO. Daniel Defense is a firearms manufacturer, and you'll get the gist of it from what we have going here.
I'd like us to just dive right into it. I have a photo that I'd like to pull up for the committee and our witnesses to be able to see. Can we get that pulled up? It's on. Okay, perfect. Mr. Daniel, you are CEO of firearm manufacturer Daniel Defense. This photograph is from an advertisement featured for your company. Do you know, I'd like to draw your attention to that red tattoo featured in your company's advertisement. Do you know what that tattoo is, Mr. Daniels?
Madam Congresswoman, I'm not sure this is our ad. Can you show the whole ad? Is this our ad or someone else?
Yes, this is your ad, Mr. Daniel. This is an advertisement for your company, Daniel Defense.
Why is the brand name not in the photo?
No worries, no worries. So this is featured prominently in your advertisement, that tattoo. You've indicated that you don't know what it is, but Ms. Sampson, as an expert in this area, can you briefly tell us what that tattoo is?
That's a Valknut, and it's a symbol that has been increasingly embraced by white supremacists.
So, Mr. Daniel, you may or may not know, but your company's advertisement prominently displays iconography associated with white supremacist movements. You can also find it in this other photo that I will be pulling up right now. Right there from January 6th, you can see the Valknut right there on this gentleman's chest. Mr. Daniel, yes or no, are you aware that your advertising department uses imagery affiliated with white supremacist movements in its marketing materials?
Okay, so after the clip, she claims that it's a white supremacist symbol, and that her so-called expert, she never even says that it came from white supremacy, if that makes sense. Like, they never say that it was originated from it. They just say it was embraced by them, which, as you guys all know, there is a ton of symbols that neo-Nazis and white supremacists have taken over. Even the cross by the Ku Klux Klan. So, it's ridiculous. Yes, and it does suck because those guys, or girls, or whoever it is in those groups, they're complete idiots. But the
100%,
other idiots,
100% idiot.
Yeah, 100% idiots.
But AOC is also a fucking idiot.
Yeah, for people who actually believe that those symbols, from the way she speaks in there, and her so-called expert, they make it seem like these symbols are like just strictly white supremacist symbols, and they're truly not. There's historical and archaeological evidence to support that claim.
Well, first of all, who is this expert? Nobody has heard of her. I've asked around. I've researched. What is she an expert in? I have no idea. And secondly, this kind of ideology, this kind of rhetoric plays straight into Adolf Hitler's hands. It really does. Because this is exactly what he did with pagan symbols back in his day. He appropriated them, people began to hate them, and now they're just known for what he did. You know, not for you're a mixed race man.
Yeah, mixed race man. African American and obviously mostly white, but definitely of mixed race, and I have the symbol tattooed on me.
Yeah, I mean, you have it right on your chest. Beautiful tattoo,
right
by the
there.
way.
I meant to. I wish I could have gotten it in the middle of my chest, but I already had a tattoo there.
Yeah,
so
you are literally covered in ink. You're like a walking board of art.
That's what my mom and her friends said. One of our former kindred members. But yeah.
And I'm working on it. I'm gonna get there. I promise. I do have tattoos, just not as many as you do. But yeah, you know, you're mixed race and actually African American mixed race.
Yeah, and I grew up in I grew up in obviously Washington, but I've lived in LA. I lived in Arizona for a short period of time. I grew up in many places that had a very diverse community, you could say, of people from all over. Not just obviously coming over from Europe or Asia or Africa, but people who've grown up there who were obviously of mixed race. You can tell.
Right.
That's just the way it is, and people got along. You know,
Yeah.
It didn't really matter who you were. You got along. If you were a good person, you're a good person. If you weren't, you were a bad person.
Yeah. So basically, what this first half of this episode is going to be is just basically fuck you, AOC. You know, stop taking our culture and turning it into something that it's not. You know, we have a lot of races that actually practice Norse paganism, and these are Norse pagan symbols. You know that the Valknut is how it's pronounced. Not Valknut.
Or no, is it Fallnut?
Valknut.
Yeah, in the video. Or the,
you know,
the
they pronounced it weird. Some expert, right? But to actually reference an expert, Dr. Jackson Crawford, it's Valknuter. Actually, the Valknut doesn't have, which I'm sure it has a history, but it's lost to us. So everything we have on that today is basically what we would call a UPG.
Yeah,
you know,
you could say that.
It is an Old Norse word that basically means "not of the slain, not of the dead."
Yeah, it is an Old Norse symbol. There are various depictions. I think it was Sweden?
Yeah, it is an actual historical symbol.
It was on a few stones.
We just have no information on it.
Yeah, and that's because literature back then, even in the days of the Germanic tribes, that wasn't necessarily a thing.
And for our listeners, if you're interested, I will put a link to the video that we're referencing for Dr. Jackson Crawford. I didn't find it appropriate to actually put the audio into our podcast without his permission, but we will provide the link in the show notes below. So if you're interested in watching that, he is a world authority on Old Norse culture and language.
Yeah, PhD, everything. He even knows how to speak Old Norse to the best of our knowledge.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's pretty nuts, to be honest. To actually, he has a lot of videos about speaking it and whatnot.
Did you see the video of him speaking Old Norse with a guy speaking
Old English?
Old English.
Yeah,
the languages
awesome.
are very much identical, and you know, it's interchangeable. You can pretty much speak to anybody with Old Norse into Old English. Some derivations, but it was really cool to watch. But he's an actual expert now. Whether this lady was an expert in racism, I have no idea. What was she an expert in? I've found no information on her whatsoever. She's clearly wrong. She can't even pronounce it right. Where is she getting her information? And she even brings up later on, and I can't even remember if we included that in the clip of the audio. The man with the horns and stuff at January 6th.
The insurrection and whatnot.
Yeah.
They tried bringing up that, and he had a Valknut.
Yeah.
And he had a helmet with horns on it, and like an American flag, and like it wasn't even just like a horned helmet. It had like buffalo skin on it. You know, it was just like,
the man that actually peacefully walked into the Capitol and just stood there. He looked like he was lost.
Yeah.
So, we're not sure. You bring that up. We don't even know if that man's racist. You know.
Well,
he wasn't screaming racist ideology or anything. Just because he's wearing the Valknut doesn't mean he's racist.
Like in the same token, like because I see people obviously here in the South, or in general, when I lived up north, I grew up with a lot of people who are of Christian, Mormon, Catholic, you name it. And so should I think of them as just straight racists?
Well, yeah,
because
AOC,
of them wearing a cross.
Yeah, AOC's Puerto Rican in heritage. Her family's Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
They're mainly Catholic and Christian. They wear crosses. The Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah. So
they use the cross. They use the cross in their rituals and stuff.
Yeah. So should I call them out for being so-called racist? Absolutely not, because that's their belief and that's where the religion actually comes from. And despite us having our differences, the cross itself is not racist.
Right.
And I'm like, as a pagan, I'm saying that, not just as a fellow Christian or a fellow Catholic, whatever it is. And it'd be the same thing if a Muslim wearing a turban, do I think he's just going to be, or he or she is just going to be this absolute radical person that media or politics portrays him to be? No, absolutely not.
Yeah, and
they're just a human being at the end of the day, and that symbol for their religion does not represent that.
Yeah, and every episode we have, man. Every episode. This goes into do your fucking research.
Yeah.
Read a fucking book.
Quite literally.
Okay? Like, I don't know what book AOC's reading, but she's probably just sitting in a circle letting people tell her what to think, clearly. And to say that, people are saying that she's the best hope for the country in 2024. I don't want to get too political, but please no. I mean... But yeah, so we've covered basically what the Valknut is, but what it represents is what interests me the most. Most people that actually have that tattooed on their body or that wear that symbol are dedicants to the Allfather, to Odin, which is not a path to be taken lightly.
Not at all. No, it's definitely it's a path of best way to describe it. People might want to say, oh, it's a path of war or a simple path of wandering, which, trust me, I wish it was that simple. But it's not. It's a path of madness. But it's for a good reason.
You'll hear a lot of people in our community, and I really take it as true. Odin's the Allfather, not the Sun Father, not the White Father. He is the Allfather. And, if you feel a call to the gods, no matter what your race, your gender, welcome. You're here. We obviously talk about on our podcast. We say some things that we hope you take to heart. Like, not everybody's your brother and sister. No, you're not a Viking. You're not related to Ragnar. You're not going to Valhalla. By the way, here in the South, we don't go to Valhalla. We go to Yalhalla. Yeah, so, you just do your research and realize, those particular ideas are a very Christian thing. We don't have, like, a heaven, or we do have a hell. That's an appropriated thing.
Well, yeah, and we also have, what's the thing, it's a thing in all, or, like, you can say Greco-Roman, Egyptian, and Norse, they called it the Heathens.
Right, yeah.
In that sense, again, guys, do your research, and despite... anything that material you could say, skin color. If you come from a background, like if your family's Christian or Muslim or Jewish, Catholic, or even if they're pagan, but if they're like a specific branch of pagan,
right?
You don't have to be like them. If your soul speaks, another thing, well, ride with it, man.
Yeah.
Like, what's the worst that's going to happen? Yeah, you are going to come across a few bad people. I have in my path, being a mostly Norse path, and even sometimes I kind of venture onto the Greek and Greco-Roman path. I've definitely seen and met some not so great folks, but at the same time, it's all been worth it because it's where my soul's kind of taking me to, and it's always for a reason.
Well, every path, pantheon.
He wasn't sure if he could pronounce the word.
I wasn't sure. I stumbled there. Every pantheon, they have every person that follows that particular belief. There's always going to be a radical group. Always. It doesn't matter which one. You have your Christians. You have your atheists. They have radical groups. Muslims have radical groups. Jews have radical groups. It's just, every belief system has a radical group. And that even includes politics. You have a radical right, a radical left.
Especially includes politics.
Yeah. And I would consider myself a radical libertarian, Pretty much. I'm very principled, and I don't budge on my principles. Like,
I can tell just by living with you.
Yeah, it is what it is, and that's how it's going to be, But anyway, just to flat out denounce someone's belief. I may have not made an oath to Odin. Tyr's my patron, but Odin's yours.
Mm-hmm.
You swore. I was there. I helped in the ceremony and all that. You swore an oath to Odin. To just say that all the people that have that symbol or use that symbol that even I hold dear to me because of what it represents, that they're just they're white supremacists, they're racists, they're using racist imagery. Absolutely, go fuck yourself.
Absolutely,
absolutely, and do it hard.
It's been quite ridiculous, Growing up a person of mixed race, and sometimes mixed people have different feelings about certain things. I won't go into too much detail, but it's just the truth, though. Growing up like that. But regardless, I've had friends of all different kinds of people, and it's been awesome because they're good people. Yeah. That's the point. They're good fucking people. Yeah, that's what matters. At the end of the day, is how good of a person, and also how much are you willing to do for your friends and your family. Like. Hell yeah. Like, I have my two best friends. They're Christian, but I love them to death.
Right.
I would die for them in a heartbeat.
Here's the thing also. When you try to silence these fringe groups, you put them in an isolated area that we coined the term echo chamber. And all that happens in those echo chambers is they become even more and more radicalized. Because they're not exposed to opposite ideas. They're not exposed to anything else because you've isolated them and put them only with others that have their own ideas, have the same ideas as they do. And what I've found in my studies, that if you expose yourself to other ideologies, you have a better chance of correcting your behavior. It's not always going to happen, no. You can be as stubborn as me when it comes to politics. But one thing is absolutely clear. If you try to silence these people, they're just going to become more and more radical. So don't try to silence the racists. We have a First Amendment for a reason. We need to know who these people are. Let them speak. Because now we know who you are, and you're a piece of shit. Let them talk. The more you try to silence them, the more radical they become. And I don't think the politicians understand that. Or they do understand that, and that's what they're trying to accomplish. Either way, it's sick. So, I think with all this given, I would like to tell the listeners more about what we know about Odin. So that he's your patron, so you take that away. So,
as you guys know, Odin, Wodenaz is his oldest name. It's Proto-Germanic. King of the gods, specifically in Norse, it's King of the Aesir. God of war, god of poetry, god of magic. Sacrificed his eye at Mimir as well. Hung himself for 9 days and 9 nights with a spear through his chest. One thing that you will see in the stories is that he kind of influences people when they do go to war. And also, obviously, him and Freya, Freya gets first pick of who die in battle, and Odin gets second pick. And one thing that I've seen, not just from my own Gothi, but also from the stories, is that, particularly Odin himself, or Othin, which you would actually say.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Old Norse.
Yeah, Jackson Crawford.
Yeah, no, Old Norse would be Othin. He wants people, specifically the people who were slain in battle, he wants killers. It's different from Freya. Freya is definitely more of a deity or a goddess that wants people, they fought for a cause bigger than themselves.
Yeah, they're more of a valiant hero.
Yeah. Odin, he wants people who will put bodies down.
Right.
That is what he wants. Well, and so that's another thing, why we tell people, you really want to go to Valhalla? Have you actually read the stories? Right. Well, those are some savage motherfuckers.
Odin's purpose is to build an army to fight in Ragnarok against the Jotun. against the what the stories would lead you to believe would be the literal end of the world, but what I tend to believe is a metaphorical end of our world, which I think is cyclical, and it's happened many times. So, I think it's a story that just kind of talks about the death of basically ways of life, and that is obviously a cyclical thing, and I think we're seeing that today. Odin's raising an army to fight in Ragnarok, so he wants the most bloodthirsty, the most chaotic, and the craziest motherfuckers that were on the battlefield. And like you said, Freya gets good warriors, like heroic. There we go. I do have a tall boy, ladies and gentlemen.
I know he doesn't drink those often. He barely drinks at all.
I'm celebrating today.
Yeah,
so.
That's fair. But yes, on that topic though, Odin, like you said, he wants people who will lay down fucking bodies. That's what he wants. He wants people who will slay. Not in the modern sense of slay or whatever.
Slay!
You're slaying bitches, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, no, not in that way.
I'm not cutting that out of it. They're listening to that shit.
But
so what are actually, let's pause here for a word from one of our sponsors. The Southern Heathens podcast is proudly sponsored by WoodovWyrd. WoodovWyrd is an Etsy shop owned by TikTok and Instagram user Witches Brew. With crafts like wood burns and spell jars, as well as custom orders, you can find exactly what you need for all of your witchy and pagan needs. From one-of-a-kind spell jars to any wood burn design, WoodovWyrd is always up to the task. WoodovWyrd is always up and running and ships orders promptly. Any custom order requests can be messaged directly to Witches Brew via social media or through her email. Links can be found in her Etsy shop. Go to etsy.com/shop/WoodovWyrd to find out more. That's etsy.com/shop/WoodovWyrd. So now we're back, and I wanted to ask you, what are some more obscure names that Odin might have that people might hear, so they can attribute that if someone's speaking about Odin?
One name that comes to mind instantly is Grimnir. And I forgot the translation, but I'm just going to say this as a separate name because I can't necessarily say that it is the absolute translation. But one name that he does get is the Evil One. Yeah. And that's one thing people don't realize, when they go get a Valknut tattoo, when they go get that tattoo, or when they do a ritual to him in that sense, and they don't realize what they're getting into. That's why we always say, hey, really research, what you're doing first, because deities, gods like Odin, they don't fuck around. They don't. And like I said before, his path, at least that I've noticed, it's literally a path of madness. My head is constantly in the worst ways possible, just all over the fucking place.
Oh, I can attest to that.
Yeah, and I was going to say, you've seen it.
And Tyr being my patron, I'm more level-headed and grounded, and I look at things more logically and how it plays out in the end. And you're more bebopping.
Yeah, more like I'll just randomly, start shouting out random things.
Yeah.
That absolutely have nothing to do with the conversation we were just having.
Right.
Or anything
not that
like
I don't enjoy it, because I just get a good laugh, but it's not something that I necessarily, my lifestyle does. I do it every so often, when I get excited or whatever.
It's also too one thing I feel like, for example, and I think it's one thing that people are not staunch about, which they should be staunch about, and that's just my opinion. People always take the warrior side of Odin, and don't get me wrong, a lot of people are right to do that because of what he represents. However, one thing that he does represent above all, and that obviously he has gained power from, and also the things he's accomplished, is the wandering. He goes through the 9 worlds. He does, constantly. And it's not just the fact of going through 9 worlds. What is the common factor in all those is he's wandering.
Yeah.
Even if he's been places before, he's still going to places that he doesn't know. And that's one thing personally, from my path at least, being sworn to him, is that I do try to do constantly. I'll find myself, like the other day, I didn't send you the pictures, but I'll post them on the page. But
you've yet to send me the pictures that you're supposed to send me.
Yeah, I know. But this time though, yesterday, before we went to go see your dad, I was in town. I just got done from the gym, and I knew I was going to be hungry, because I was like, okay, so after the gym I haven't eaten anything, whatever. But then I actually wasn't. I was like, you know what? No, I get some water in my system, and I was like, okay, I want to go into town. I'm going to go find some place.
Right.
I want to go walk, even though I just worked out super hard and trained everything, and all of a sudden I find myself on the trail park head by the crossroads. I did that trailhead, and then I found myself going past it because it was very short, as you probably know, super short.
Yeah, very short.
And so I went across the train tracks, and I found this like a propane station, basically, a bunch of old propane tanks that haven't been used in a while. And there's a couple that are huge, and obviously people probably fill them up with it. And I just found myself in this weird propane yard because it was covered in trees. There's gravel and stuff, but it was covered in trees, and it looked like something out of like a Stephen King movie. Kids wandering into something that they have no idea of, and that was me. I literally was just going there, and other than the fact that I had to go to the bathroom, I had to turn back, of course, because I definitely didn't have any place to go, just to say. But I definitely, if that wasn't the case, which I do plan to go back, I don't know, there's something there, and I have no fucking clue what it is. But that's like the wandering part that Odin is, because he's also a god of inspiration, the frenzied god.
Right.
And that's one thing, when I get wandering, I don't want to stop. I just want to keep going.
I don't know if you've ever played any Elder Scrolls game.
Skyrim.
Well, I'm talking more of Oblivion.
I played Oblivion.
They have the Shivering Isles DLC. I kind of attribute, a lot of people would think that Sheogorath is more like a Loki figure, but I've always thought of him more as an Odin figure, because he's very wise, but he's also very chaotic. He's like a god of madness, and that is Odin. And I think I've heard this somewhere, and tell me if I might be wrong, but J.R.R. Tolkien, in The Lord of the Rings, Gandalf is another name for Odin.
I've heard that too. I'm not going to say
the
if
Grey
I know
Wanderer.
if it's true, but I can definitely see the comparison there and why he would have named him that, and then also the comparisons between them.
Yeah, and to be honest, Tolkien was a Christian, but if you look at the inspirations for his novels, a lot of Norse paganism inside of
Norse paganism, Anglo-Saxon paganism,
yes,
Germanic paganism in general.
yeah,
I guess you could say.
that is it's a all-encompassing the Germanic peoples. I don't know if any of the listeners have seen a couple of the posts. I've posted a couple of informational posts about some gods. I started with I can't pronounce her name, Frigga's handmaiden, if you can help me pronounce that.
Fola?
Yeah, and then Tyr. I mentioned Germanic peoples and that talking about the Germanic peoples, we're talking about Norse, Anglo-Saxon, stuff like that. So it's not just we're not talking about people in Germany. It's an actual like a whole group of people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I heard that with J.R.R. Tolkien, that Gandalf, and I'll have to confirm that later and maybe make a post about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically how Odin is attached to the Valknut, and this whole episode was to lead into that explanation that Odin's not racist. Obviously, there's no historical evidence that any Norse pagan, any Norse culture, any Germanic culture, Europeans in general, and I do believe there is historical, whether or not Europeans were racist, or
I know some historians, it wasn't racism per se, because it was especially during the times of the Roman Empire. So I was actually just watching something about the show Spartacus, which some of you guys have probably watched. One of my favorite shows. But the point was, they had historians actually on the show that actually helped point the direction and where it went. But the point is,
probably unlike Vikings.
Yes, very much unlike Vikings.
Just saying, people.
But one thing that they said was different among Europeans was, especially during the Roman times, when the empire was ruling and they had slaves, from every part of Europe. It wasn't necessarily race hate, like, oh, your skin color is different than mine, I hate you. No, it was more so like cultural hate, because obviously most Europeans, or all Europeans, are white. So they didn't have anything to hate then. It was more of like just hating their culture, like, oh, you do rituals this way, kind of thing, or hey, you guys live this kind of lifestyle, and you guys don't farm this way, kind of thing. Like, oh no, that's what it was more like. It was more of a cultural hate. And
Right.
even there were obviously slaves from Africa. You guys watch if you guys know anything about Carthage, or when the Romans went to North Africa, it wasn't anything like that. It was really just cultural hate. That was the biggest thing.
Right.
And a lot of the times, what the historians would say too, especially you saw it in a gladiatorial training, is because you put all these, brutish people in an arena together, or not an arena, but like a training together, and now they're actually having to train together because when they get into the arena, their life is on the line, kind of thing. So,
and I guess to sum it all up, what you can gather from this episode is first, AOC, go fuck yourself. Second, please read. Please do your due diligence and get your books, get your literature, and really, really study. Dive deep into it. And as we always say, go outside and feel the gods and feel the spirits and feel the life force of the earth. That's really the root of it. There are some animistic practices that we have, and that really helps. Just don't believe everything you hear that comes out of a politician's mouth. Do your own research and enjoy your life, enjoy nature.
Yeah, we were just outside, yesterday, basically, at your dad's house.
Yeah,
I was outside with one of your brothers, and he was barbecuing and stuff, and it was nice. I mean, it was hot as fuck, and it was humid. I got a sunburn, which I usually don't, but it was honestly, though, kind of nice.
Well, it's gone away now. You're more just tan.
Yeah, no, it's literally just then. I was outside today. I was cleaning up the front yard and taking the trash up and stuff, and I even posted on my Instagram story me walking down the driveway because I was literally outside for like maybe 10 minutes or maybe 15 to 20 at the very most, and I shit you not, I was drenched in sweat. It was good though.
It's rough, and for the listeners, I'm sweating right now. We have to shut off the AC and the fans to do the episode, or you won't be able to hear us. So it's pretty muggy in the living room.
It's pretty damn rough sometimes. So just know the sacrifices we make for y'all.
We put in the work. We put in some sacrifice to give y'all some quality content. But hey, if you like what you hear, if you like the content, we're available on all the major podcasting apps. We're available on YouTube. You can find us at thesouthernheathens.com, and you can just give us a like, a follow, give us a rating, and you do all those things. We'll be back with you next weekend, and y'all holla.
Y'all holla, brothers and sisters.